Okay, I have 6 p.m.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to call the June 30th, 2025 meeting of the Comprehensive Planning Committee to order. The purpose of this meeting is to act on a request for changes in zoning and special procedures. Can we take roll, please?
Mr. Taylor,
Here.
Ms. Hart,
Here.
Mr. Bedell,
Here.
Mr. Fagan.
Here. We have a quorum.
You have a quorum.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Great job.
All right. First, we have the new business consideration of the St. Louis County 2050 plan, an equitable and sustainable comprehensive plan. And now if Mel could present.
Okay, Mel Wilson, Deputy Director, Project Manager. Welcome and thank you for being here for the true beginning of the end of creating what we call STLCO 2050. So to really just overview what we're doing tonight, I'm going to give you a really general summary that overviews what was included in the draft report that was sent to you before the weekend and the cover memo. So what you're doing tonight is taking action on whether STLCO 2050 should be adopted as the county's general plan. So if you vote on that tonight, that will go out to the full commission a week from today. Then the commission will have the opportunity that night to forward the recommendation to the county council for the official legislative process for plan adoption. So I'll go over the plan. I will go over what happened during our public comment period here during the month of June. I'll overview the process again, and then I had put here that the regularly scheduled meeting of this committee, the next one would be July 28th. But we can forego that meeting since that will be during the legislative process, and then we will schedule a subsequent meeting. We'll have the meeting in August. So to go over the plan contents in this presentation, we really try to tie it back to what the charter calls for in the general plan. So in this section 2.180.33 is the charter section that calls for the council to adopt a general plan. And there's really kind of 5 criteria. The plan should set forth policy regarding the physical development of the county, should contain a statement of the objective standards and principles of the plan. It should be based on studies of trends and conditions in the county, and then it should assure the coordinated development of the county while also promoting the general welfare and prosperity of its people. So first, how does STLCO 2050 set policy regarding the physical development of the county? What it does is it defines our strategic and operational priorities over the next generation for a whole range of things, including economic development, transportation investment, service delivery, and then land use development. And as this committee is aware, that land use development function is sort of 2-pronged. This would directly inform future land use regulations and decisions in the unincorporated parts of the county, while also acting as an additional tool for our municipal partners to use as they plan and review their own development within their limits. Next, how does STLCO 2050 include a statement of our objectives? We really find that those are embodied in the 5 desired outcomes of STLCO 2050. These are our objectives: safe and thriving neighborhoods, fiscally responsible infrastructure, equitable growth and opportunity, housing options for all, and strong and healthy residences. That's a typo, excuse me, residents with a T. So those are our objectives, but also the principles built into STLCO 2050 are equity and sustainability. So this plan includes avenues for social and financial well-being for all of our residents in a manner where that prosperity is available for everyone. So we really find that that meets that objective of the charter requirement. Next, the plan is concretely based on studies of conditions and trends. These are enumerated in the 5 key issues, which really embody the existing state of St. Louis County, our condition, what trends leading up to this time have produced. So population stagnation, infrastructure cost burden, the job skills mismatch, issues with housing diversity and affordability, and social and environmental resilience. These are the roadblocks that are keeping us from achieving the 5 desired outcomes. Then we have really structured STLCO 2050 to assure the coordinated development of the county, addressing all 5 key issues to produce our 5 desired outcomes. and the organization of the policy recommendations into the 5 big policy bucket helps coordinate that structure. So as we will recall, those are inclusive economies, complete communities, sustainable infrastructure, responsible growth, and leading the region. So those are the ways that we find that STLCO 2050, in addition to being a really broad and achievable vision, it is, what's the word I'm looking for? Ambitious. It is an ambitious plan, but it is achievable, and it does meet the charter requirements for our general plan. But when we talk about how we're going to do this, I would remind the commission that it won't all be done by the Department of Planning. It won't even all be done by St. Louis County. It will be accomplished through the robust partnerships that we've started building over the past 2 years that we will continue to maintain. That way, we can leverage the resources, the skills, and the relationships of our other partners in our implementation coalition, if you will, as well as lending our expertise and our resources to those partners as well. So we find that the plan does a really good balance of generating new ideas, new projects, new policies, while strengthening our existing programs and policies that already exist in St. Louis County government. So it will be, it will take all of us to ensure that STLCO 2050 is implemented, from this committee and the Planning Commission, the other leaders in county government, and then ideally the public will be holding us accountable, since we have kept them abreast of the plan's development. They will be looking to us to deliver those results. So in summary, we find that STLCO 2050 is a policy guide that we can use here as county staff in our programming and our operations. We do find that despite the challenges that exist in St. Louis County, we have all of the tools and resources at our disposal that we need to achieve the 5 desired outcomes. And as stated, the plan does align with the charter's requirements for the county's general plan. So before I move to the public comment period summary, I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
I have a question. So the 5 key areas that you're looking to address, I think it's population. Yeah. Do you ever think of creating a, what are those things called now? The word just lost. I just lost it.
Like, how are we going to track it?
No, a way to remember these 5 things. What's that thing called?
Sure, like a mnemonic device.
There it is.
Not necessarily. We did notice the sort of quintet of concepts emerging. So we have been referring to the 5 desired outcomes, the 5 key issues, and the 5 policy buckets as the tri-5, the 3 5s. I'll never forget them. I'll never forget the 5 key issues. But when we do have a lot of sort of resources and handouts that really lay them out clearly so that people can tie them together. But
Is it acronym?
there's no fun acronym or mnemonic device yet. It's not too late. But
I was like, Pidge?
It's like, it's like,
I don't know.
no, it's
Just like-
HISPJ, or no. It's
what I will say also, though, is that this order made a lot of sense too, in the way that they sort of flow, that the population stagnation is immediately causing our infrastructure cost burden. The infrastructure cost burden is exacerbated by the fact that we don't have the right skills that cause more people to move into the county. Similarly with the housing issues, and then that social and environmental resilience sort of, that hole is dug deeper and deeper by the other 4 issues. So they do tell a story, and that order does sort of tell that story, but I am more than open to a fun acronym or mnemonic device if you got one, Chris.
Yeah. So you have the tri-5, so you have 5 key issues, 5
Desired outcomes,
desired outcomes.
5 key issues, and 5 policy buckets.
5 policy buckets. Okay.
Yeah, so. Does that answer your question?
It does. I want to be able to rattle them off as well as you are.
Sure.
So I need
Yeah.
an acronym or something.
A little jingle. Any other questions?
Just gonna say, work on it for like 2 years every day, and you'll.
Yeah, you'll never.
It'll be burnt into your mind, right?
Right. Okay, so as the commission is aware, through the month of June, this has been our public comment period. That's why the commission's public hearing occurred in the middle of the month. I hope you will agree that the public hearing went really well. It was really cool to see that public support for the plan there that evening. In addition to people, members of the public, organizations, community leaders having that opportunity to ask questions and voice support for the plan, we had built a digital survey to walk people through every page of the website and ask them basically, does this make sense? Is the story we're telling getting across? We ultimately, by the time we walked down here today, had 101 responses, which we thought was, I think, is pretty impressive. I was hoping for maybe 25, so I'm really pleased. When we looked at it on the map, the responses, when people, a lot of people, like 90 out of the 101 gave their zip codes, and we could see that that spread was pretty evenly dispersed, which was nice as well. And then looking at the results, on average, 2/3 of respondents said, yes, this makes sense. Yes, I can see the impact of these recommendations, et cetera. So we did make some minor refinement based on things from the survey. We did a lot of improvements to the mobile device view of the website. We made huge improvements on that front. We also, people found minor little linkage errors that we fixed. So we did incorporate the feedback from the public comment period into the plan already, so it is encompassed in what you would be acting on tonight.
Question on the survey, the timeline, was it spread out throughout the whole 30 days that you had here?
It was sort of steady at first. We also did, I think 2 or 3 email blasts to folk who signed up for the comp plan mailing list. So we did do a reminder, I think on Thursday or Friday last week, and we did see a sort of a final surge over the weekend. But for the most part, it was sort of just steadily creeping up.
2 questions. First is, what were you able to find out the breakdown of people responding, whether it was for an organization or individuals?
Not specifically. We did allow people to give us their email addresses, but other than that being in sort of the domain, we didn't ask for any other sort of identifying information. You could tell from the responses that some people were did have some sort of specialty and that their comments kind of reflected that, but not specifically.
Okay. And the other question is, of the 2 out of 3 that were for support, understand it, was there that third one, what was the negative?
I would say that in general, it's a lot to take in. And there were a lot of comments about people wanting to see the most concrete actions out of STL Code 2050. And we know that those will be further defined as we move through implementation, but I think it's hard for some people to see how this will make a change without that most concrete, literal, do this to create this change, was a lot of it. There are generally some skeptics as well,
I
but
was going to have that, right?
sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So the last little bit I have here is the rest of the process. So as I sort of said at the beginning of the meeting, depending on the committee's action tonight, we would then put this on the full commission's agenda for Monday, July 7th. So first, the commission would vote on the report of this committee, but then I would also give this same presentation during the correspondence period of the meeting. After that, the commission would be able to forward the recommendation to the full county council. As the committee members know, we meet on Mondays, the council meets on Tuesdays. We can't get things on their agenda the following day. So it would be 8 days later on Tuesday, July 15th. That would be the earliest that the plan could appear as a communication on their agenda. And they would have the opportunity to advance it through the process each week. We are also working with the chairwoman and her assistant to find a date for a committee of the whole, which is where the council would be able to essentially have a public hearing pretty identical to what the commission had. I would encourage the commissioners, once that date is set, we will share with you. That way, if you would like to attend, observe, or come and speak in favor, we would highly support you doing that.
Yes, I would actually like to build on that. I would actually really like it if all 9 of the planning commissioners, well, I guess, how many do we have now? 6.
Right.
All 6 of the planning commissioners would put that on your calendars for to be in attendance, because having you there will be very helpful.
And approximately that would be how many weeks after the 15th?
The date of that meeting,
Yeah, the public comment session.
we're anticipating that the committee of the whole would either be scheduled for the end of this month or the beginning of August. But we're still working to nail that date down. But we would share it with you as soon as we know. That way, like Jacob said, you can get it on your calendars. It would be here.
Let's do it by the 22nd. It's the following weekend.
Send me your unavailability.
The last week of July is bad.
And each week, it enters this another stage.
So the
first week-
general, sorry,
No,
the
I was just saying-
legislative process.
Yeah.
So just like when a zoning petition is sent to the council, first it appears on their agenda as a communication. That's when the council can receive and file the item and order legislation. So that night they could, on the 15th, they could say receive and file and county councilor prepare a draft legislation. If the typical, the quickest it can go is advancing one stage each week. So the following week, the bill could be introduced, which was where the clerk would read it into the record. Then the third week is when they could vote to perfect it, which is essentially just another reading of the bill. And then the fourth week would be final passage, when they actually vote up or down to pass the ordinance. Then it would go to the county executive's desks for signature to make it effective.
And the committee of the whole takes place usually in which,
It's not specifically tied
It's
to
not tied.
one of those
Okay.
items, right? So it could really be at any point during the legislative process. Okay, that's the end of my presentation. When there's a motion, I'm also happy to answer any other questions.
I have a question, and maybe we've discussed this before, but just to remind me, down the road, say 2 months, 2 years, whatever we think a change needs to be made to this, who's responsible for that change? And do we have, is AECom going to be helping us with those changes at that point, or?
So the process, how it's structured in the charter, the same place where it calls for there to be a plan, it calls for the commission to review that for any updates every 5 years. So once it's adopted, any sort of new issues, new maybe geographic challenges that are identified, I mean, Joel would really be leading, keeping track of those, but those could come from anywhere. It could come from the commission, it could come from other departments. Maybe as we're working with a specific implementation partner, there's some hurdle or other opportunity that emerges, we'd be creating like a running list of revisions, updates, addendums to incorporate in 2030. I do not know right now whether that's something we would do just within the department. It would not be the same process that we just went through where there's a whole plan creation. It would truly be an update to STL Code
Does the
2050.
county have the ability to update the website as needed?
We, like between now and then,
No, anytime in the future.
so once in 2030, when we're doing the update, we would then, in addition to amending, yes, that stuff would be incorporated onto the plan website at that time.
And just for nuts and bolts, we own that website, and it's I
Yes.
personally learned how to do the back end of it pretty quickly. Mel knows how to do it on the back end staff. So it's a fairly
Thank you.
user-friendly website that
But you guys can,
that internal staff could actually
Yes.
make
to make sure that it was simple and
I
not
see
something
what
that's
you're
like
saying.
locked in.
that
Right.
we could
You know,
buy a
if
new
this
product
gets-
someday.
If this gets approved and voted on, if everything gets set into place and we find out that one of the maps isn't working, or we want to replace,
Absolutely.
revise some wording or some minor things, or need to,
Right.
take one thing off completely or add one thing completely.
Yeah.
If that's doable
Correct.
before the 5 years is up, though, too, that could happen or not. I mean,
So from a technical sense, yes. If you read inside of your packet was a draft ordinance, and if you read the draft ordinance, you saw that we're making that would be forwarded to the county council for their consideration, and they can draft their ordinance however they so choose. But if they used the draft that we provided. It, inside of it, grants the Department of Planning the ability to make minor sort of edits to the plan, but making it clear that substantive changes to the plan cannot occur without going through the legislative process. Because once they adopt that ordinance, they are adopting the plan as they see it on, on
There's a
that date.
process to go
That-
through. if
yes.
necessary. Okay.
Just comment. Last week you sent out an email that had an attachment with it that showed over the years since 1985, I guess it was, when they started.
Right.
Working on, where every 5 to 10 years, there was a plan update. So it's been there. this whole
But
time.
to go down that sort of hypothetical, say we were like, you know what, leading the region, we need to call that policy bucket something else. We could work, the council would have the ability to adopt an ordinance to change something like that. But that is not minor enough for staff to just go and change on the website.
Got it.
And then to what Mr. Taylor was saying, in addition to legislative updates to the plan every 5 years, any subsequent small area studies, corridor studies that come out of the commission and the department would be adopted by ordinance to become part of STL Code 2050, to sort of stack on top of it, if you will.
Very good. Any other questions? Oh, with that, do I have a motion for approval of the 2050 plan?
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other questions? No? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. And that's approved.
So we will prepare basically a cover memo from the committee to act as the report that will be on the agenda on the 7th. The full report that we sent to you will be sent to the full commission for them to consider to take action on Monday.
On Monday this-
And then this committee will not meet again until August.
Okay. All right,
Jacob,
when
any
When
other-
are we going to meet in August?
Where?
When?
At the very end. I can hold on. I got that for you.
It's on my phone here. I just want to confirm, because we've had some changes.
Yes, yes. It will be August 25th.
My hope is that by which point the plan will be adopted. Let's hope. Of course, we always can never, what's the saying? How's
I
it going?
cannot anticipate the actions of our elected, and I've added now, or appointed officials.
In this case, we can never anticipate the actions of our elected officials, but I'm hopeful that the plan will be adopted by that point.
Yep, that's the plan.
Okay.
And then that's what we'll be talking about in August.
Do we have anything else? I don't see anything on the.
Nothing else?
Question, probably should have asked this earlier. So at this committee of the whole
Mhm.
of the council, there's public comment, but is that also where the council persons would discuss it publicly amongst, not debate, but yeah, debate if
So
they're-
they would have, so it would be pretty identical to what we did on the 16th. I and either Stephen or one of the other project management members from AECom would present it. There would be back and forth question, discussion between us and the council. Then there would be a public comment period where folk who've signed up could come and speak. Then they would close public comment, and then that committee could discuss amongst themselves. And then they would make, just like this committee will make a report, the committee of the whole would make a report to go out to the full council. That would then be part of that action.
when public comment period's closed, is it like ours where folks have to leave and it's just us, or?
It would not be like a closed discussion. That would be public.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes the city council conversations are entertaining, so I'd
Sure,
like to see that.
sure.
If, I don't know, hopefully this isn't
So
too
it just-
controversial.
At this July 15th meeting, are you going to want us to speak there?
There would not be any sort of planned discussion that night, but since it would be on the agenda, anyone could come and speak. It would basically be just as the regular part of the public comment.
Just near
Um,
the front of a
yeah.
council meeting, and they start there.
But you certainly could, like, for instance, if you know you're not going to be around at the end of July, the beginning of August, you could sign up to speak on that agenda item and voice your support there. So I will also, please note this, Joel, we will send you the information on how to speak at county council. That way you have that. You got to sign up, I think it's up at least 10 minutes before the meeting, but we'll send you that info in case anyone wants to voice their support to the council that way.
Very good. Okay.
Good idea.
And I would also therefore encourage, as we build in preparation for this getting to council, any professional connections and folks that have been interested in this process, we want as many people voicing their support for this. The St. Louis region is facing a lot of challenges, and this is one of the responses from county government about how do we turn the trajectory on this region, and we can, but it doesn't just magically happen. So,
Very good. Any other questions? Okay, with that, I'd like to ask a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it, and we are adjourned until this coming next.
Yes, please come back on Monday.
Next Monday,
Actually, that might be a
July
virtual
7th.
meeting. 'Cause no,
no, I think this one's.
I think we are
I
meeting in
think first,
person.
yeah, I think the commission decided to move in.
I think you're correct.
Right.
July 7th, our executive.
Because these are important votes.
These are, that's right.
So.
Thank
Okay.
you.